Hey there, podcast listeners. Before we get into today's great podcast, I just wanted to do a little quick in memoriam for Terry West, who was a beloved and really important member of the Steadicam community, who we lost a couple weeks ago. Terry was not actually a Steadicam operator. He was sort of an electronic guru of sorts, a mad scientist with soldering iron, if you will. And he was the guy who, back in the day when the Steadicams were new and didn't always turn on, and when they did turn on, sometimes they'd arc and turn off and all sorts of things. You could call him at 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning, and he'd turn on the shop lights and sit there with his soldering iron, smoke going up in the air, and tell you stories of the past and fix your rig for you. And as the years went on and Steadicams became a little more reliable, he was the guy you went to get cables made. And for those of us who were doing modifications to our rigs and whatnot, he would do that. And I just had a lot of fond memories of Terry out in Redondo Beach in his garage, where he sort of eventually settled into, the dogs coming out to greet you every time you'd come to the front gate, and then sort of going and hanging out in their elevated little beds that he had for them. And again, he'd still fire up the soldering iron and sit there bent over the desk with your rig or your cable and soldering away, and you'd walk through the garage and see sort of like a Steadicam history of all the old rigs and cables and stuff. And he was just the most wonderful guy, and so knowledgeable and so personable. There are so many more stories, but I just wanted to sort of acknowledge him. He was a huge part of the Steadicam community, and I think it's fair to say that many of us, myself included, would probably not have the careers that we have if it wasn't for him, because our rigs wouldn't have turned on the next morning when we went to set after some catastrophic zapping of some diode or something like that. So, Terry, from all of us, we thank you, and we miss you, and things are not the same without you. Knowing that you are not there to fire up the soldering iron one last time. On today's episode, we'll talk about the birth of the pro, operating long takes, Almost Famous, Saving Private Ryan, and of course, forgetting to ask Peter Frampton to teach you how to play the guitar. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out The Breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, The Musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Lock it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to The Op, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. My name is Dave Comides and I'm your host, and we're here yet again from Panavision Woodland Hills. I was going to say Panavision Hollywood, but it's not Woodland Hills, where they let me use their theater because it sounds better than the Speedway at some race course. I don't know what else. But I'm really excited because I have a friend and a great operator here, Chris Haarhoff, who has been a Steadicam operator for a long time. Can we say a long time? Is that okay? Some of Chris's credits, but not all of them by any measure. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and I think another Pirates of the Caribbean, Jurassic World, and another Jurassic something or other, Birdman, Bridesmaids, The Salton Sea, Vanilla Sky, AI, Almost Famous, Saving Private Ryan, Fight Club, The Rock. Awards include the BSC Operator of the Year Award in 2015 for Birdman, the SOC Camera Operator of the Year Award in 2019 for television for Westworld, 2015 SOC for Birdman, which he won from me. I'll tell you about that. 2014 Lifetime Achievement Award, and the 2009 Technical Achievement Award for creating the Pro with George Paddock, Mark O'Kane, and David Emmerichs. Great guy, great operator. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Thank you very much, David. It's
Chris also talks funny. I don't know why, because you're from Utah. Are you from Utah?
far further, a little further.
A little further.
A
Okay,
couple of
that's what it
oceans
is. Yeah, it's
over,
really
yeah.
odd. But anyway, so this is cool.
Yes.
So how'd you get here? What's your story?
I can go right back to the beginning if you like.
You can go back to birth if you want to. How far back you want to go?
I got to say, I've been very lucky. A lot of beats. If I hadn't have taken those beats, I wouldn't be here. You know?
I think that's everybody,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
Just at a Rockport workshop, me walking over to Rusty Geller
Oh, wow, Rusty
to
Geller.
say, "Hi, Rusty. I just want to say thank you to. I mean, actually, no, just hi."
Rusty was one of the
Yeah.
Teachers or the
He was actually just visiting,
Oh, okay, cool.
and then this is how weird things go. you
Rusty
know?
Geller's, by the way, a Steadicam operator he was around forever when I started out.
And
I
he's
mean,
in Australia having a really good time.
Good.
Every time I see him, he's on a boat. He's
good for him. That's great.
He's scuba diving. It's like
I'll tell you,
yeah.
my quick Rusty story was when I met him. He was doing this thing where he was on a couple of sitcoms, and he'd work like a day. He'd work like Monday and Tuesday and then Friday. And he was like, it's so great. And I remember, young Steadicam operator, I'm like, oh, God, he's working on sitcoms. How horrible. And now that I'm in my point in my career, I'm like, that seems like a pretty good gig. He kind of knew what was going on.
know, I got to say, in the days that we were younger, we were snobs.
We were. Of course we
We
were.
were snobs. Remember the pilot, and during the pilot season came, we wouldn't touch that with a barge pole.
Yeah, yeah.
We're like, no, we don't do pilots. And I mean, like, where the hell were we
I
coming
have
from?
no idea.
Yeah.
We used to think much more of ourselves than we do now, that's for sure.
Yeah,
or maybe
now-
we know now. But anyway,
Yeah.
so Rockport, what year
Yeah.
was this that you took the Rockport Steadicam course?
I was helping tell Ted. Originally did a Rockport workshop in '86, I believe.
Wow, so
With
early.
Steve Campanelli.
Oh my gosh.
and that was, and then after that, I did. There was another workshop that Garrett set up called the Masters,
Yeah.
and
okay.
so it was Larry was there, Jimmy was there,
Oh, my
Emmerichs
gosh.
was there. We all had a lot of time. We didn't do a lot of Steadicam. We were just like told
Drinking and
stories
talking.
drinking and all that.
That
like
sounds
this.
perfect anyway.
And it was really cool. We had we just had fun, and Garrett made it fun. And then after that, I would go to Rockport with Ted Churchill. He was
Okay.
he was teaching, and we went to Canada, and we went to England, and all over the place. And anyway, the long and the short of it, me coming to the US, the big break for me was Universal Soldier. And that was because Rusty Geller had gone in to show them the reel and everything. And it turns out that he was union, and
This was non-union.
and I was not union at
Yeah.
that time.
Yep.
And he remembered, because at one of those workshops, I walked across and said, "Hi, Rusty.
I love that.
I just want to say hi, and that."
And when you met him, and at that point, you're still living in South Africa.
I was straddling.
Okay.
Straddling between, I was spending time. I was going to do things. I had this idea that I would like do some work here, do some work there. It didn't really work out. I had to commit one way or another. But anyway, and me walking over to say hi to Rusty, he remembered me, and he said, "Oh, when he went in for Universal Soldier, they said, 'Sorry, you're union, you can't do it.'
Yeah.
Do you know anybody who's non-union?" And I'd given him my
awesome.
number.
Yeah.
And then I got a call in South Africa. I was back in South Africa, and they basically said, "Can you come and interview.
And this was in Los Angeles.
No, and I
The
flew
movie
back
was
to,
in Los Angeles. Yeah.
I made as if I wasn't in South Africa, and I just arrived back in LA, and then I started Universal Soldier.
And so you're flying back and forth with your gear and everything too, I would imagine, right? Like your Steadicam?
Yes, I was good. I was good at that. Yeah.
Wow, that's not an easy undertaking there.
But those were old days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's when you can actually walk onto a plane without a ticket and all that stuff.
I remember that.
It's bizarre.
Yeah,
Like, no, you could walk. You could walk friends onto the plane to say goodbye.
Yeah, and everybody would come to see you go.
Yeah. It was. I told my kids that, and they're like, they couldn't fathom.
It's another time.
It's another time. And also the other thing, this is going to get totally sidetracked, but remember there were handwritten tickets?
Yes.
They would handwrite the tickets, which is just like amazing to me.
and you know what's kind of interesting on a boarding ticket.
Yeah, boarding pass or whatever.
It basically has so much information on there. But to try and find the gate, the time, and your seat is clouded with a whole lot of stuff.
Yep.
Because they don't want to tip you as to which actual gate you want to go to. Because they want to switch you to another gate. So they don't want to commit to, it's like to the young people, we're so screwed.
The angry old man is coming on. And another thing.
Yeah.
So you came out here, you did Universal Soldier, which was a big, for you it was a big movie,
great.
right?
It was huge. Anamorphic. It was fantastic. And I can't,
Was it a Dolph Lundgren movie? Was that
Dolph Lundgren?
Okay, yeah. It's a big action movie.
And what's that other kid's name?
I don't remember why. I just remember that. But was that the first big thing you'd done?
That was the biggest movie.
It was the biggest movie.
And it was Carolco,
Carolco, right. I remember. Which did massive movies until they went bankrupt.
I worked on the movie that actually took Carolco down.
Which was what?
Which was it? It was about pirates and stuff.
Oh, it was the
Cutthroat Island.
Cutthroat Island that Rennie Harlan directed. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
that was a horrible.
And that
movie.
was like, hey,
the Steadicam was great. That was a terrible movie.
It wasn't so bad. Come on,
maybe I'll look at it again.
Yeah,
but it took Carolco down. But that wasn't his fault by any means. So that's cool. So and were you totally overwhelmed, going in? So you were just the Steadicam operator, or your B camera Steadicam, or what?
B camera Steadicam.
And who was the A camera operator on the show?
The A camera was Peter Krause, and the DP was Walter Lindelof. Yeah.
And so, what had you done before that? Had you done features before this, or
know what? I tell you what. Yes, I'd actually I'd done. There was actually a lot of work down in South Africa and in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
There was there was an outfit, Menachem Golan and Joran Globus.
I remember they were Israeli guys.
They were milking the tax breaks that they could.
And they made those big action movies, right? Golan and Globus.
They did crazy. We did crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So we were doing things that were quite, quite. It was at a funky. It was a straight to video really kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you still got to make the movie,
yes.
And you still have to have the planes crashing into barns and whatever, and helicopters and lots of guns and stuff like that, and and a lot of close accidents. A lot of accidents.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It was a bit of a bloodbath at a certain.
It was a different time, and also you're out of the country. There's no union, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So when you got on Universal Soldier, then you sort of knew what it was like to be on a feature. Then,
yes,
and it wasn't
totally,
okay.
Yeah.
And did you feel like that? If that was the biggest thing, were you overwhelmed by it? Were you wondering whether you could do it, or was it just another this is the next step?
No, I was. It was. They were nice people.
Yeah.
We were having a good time.
That's cool.
So I can't say that was a real trauma.
Yeah.
it was anyway. So I and then eventually I made the push to stay in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, a lot of people helped. Like Guy B, my very first paying job was a a job that he didn't want to do. He didn't want to do a rap video out in a Joshua Tree.
I love it.
He didn't want to do that.
That's fantastic.
And he said, look, it's $800.
Yeah.
You know?
You're like $800.
I'm like, I'm on my way.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
but that's what we all did, right? Like, I mean,
looked after each other.
People did that to us, and we've done it to people now. And I mean, even then and whatever. And then, so you moved here, and then did you just sort of stay with the same people call you back, or how'd you like? Because you don't know anybody at that point. I mean, some people.
I must say, I did quite a few movies with Walter Lindenlaub.
The DP on that, yeah.
And Peter Levy because of Cutthroat Island.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, things, it just kind of like picked up. There was and for some reason, I got lucky.
Uh-huh.
And I appreciated everybody that I came into contact with, and I was really into the Steadicam thing.
Yeah.
It was something that was really driving me. It just...
Well, and also you kind of were at the point where it was like there was that first wave of Steadicam operators that we all know of, like Garrett and Ted
Steve St. John
and whatever.
Ted.
And they were just sort of, I mean, not to say they didn't do amazing work, but they were kind of figuring it out because it was brand new. And then there was sort of that second wave that I think you were part of that sort of like went, okay, we're going to keep on honing this craft and the equipment's getting better and trying bigger things. And you were part of that early on, that thing of like the longer and longer shots, right? That came out where everybody wanted to just keep going and keep going.
Yeah, I can't remember. I some of that's a bit of a blur.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, we all wanted to do that. Basically, I mean, it's all about Larry.
Absolutely, Larry McConkie.
Larry always led. Larry. There are a lot of we were imposters, really. We followed Larry, and we'd always be about 2 years behind Larry.
I would say that he was always 2 years in front of us.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
He basically placed the marker.
Yep.
Well, and said, "This is it."
It's true.
And eventually we would find our way 2 years, 3 years later. And we can actually do a Larry shot.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And the thing that I don't think most people can appreciate now because of the internet is I remember we'd show up at the workshops, after the students were learning and just have those hangout sessions and whatever, and people would bring in these VHS tapes that were just you could barely see what was on it because they'd been watched so much, and it would have the video tap from Larry's shot or him talking about something or some amazing shot that someone had done. We'd all sit there and watch it because the only way that you'd ever you couldn't share it like you do now by any means.
Totally.
I mean, I often wonder how different things would be if back when you were starting and I was starting, if the internet was what it was now. I mean, because we'd probably all be advancing even faster because we'd all be watching each other's work so much. It was just back then. It was if you happened to catch something.
It's absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think it was on that. It might have been at that master's workshop that Larry just folded out however the little video,
the little high 8 player,
high 8 thing like that,
the clamshell,
and he he showed us this the big Goodfellas.
Yeah, sure.
And we all crowd around it like this, and we're looking at it
4-inch monitor,
and we were, our minds were just completely blown. You know,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
and now you take it for granted because you've seen it so many times. People done so many things, but it was just unbelievable. Yeah. So, how long did it take you to make the jump to be the A camera operator?
I don't know. I didn't have a hurry for it. That there was we were in a great place as a B camera Steadicam. Mm-hmm. You could actually go and rehearse and work out a shot, and everything. I was very comfortable in that B camera Steadicam place. Mm-hmm. And what it, nowadays, of course, you're on the crane, you're handheld, then you're back into Steadicam. You're like a whirling dervish, And
As the A camera operator, you mean?
as the A camera operator, you never get a chance.
You never stop.
You're setting stuff up. It's like they've worked out how to get the most out of how to get as much blood out of us.
And even so, nowadays, unlike it was back then, if you're the B camera operator, you were always working. I mean, every shot. Now you're always working.
Yeah.
Back then, it was like, well, no, you're not working. So you'd go and get your rig ready for the next shot, or like you said, a rehearse or whatever.
Just go
figure it
like,
out.
we're going to come down the stairs. Okay, let me see if I can work this out.
Yeah.
Instead, now it's like you just run it. Okay, fine, let's go.
Now you do that. It's exactly right.
Yeah. It's a bit of a sad thing, and also it was the B camera steadicam was a good entry for newer operators.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the Steadicam they want to slot you immediately into the A camera spot, and it's a little dysfunctional
because they're not ready for it.
They're not quite ready for it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
And did you find that the A camera operators, like the old time A camera operators, were cool with sort of like helping you along, or were they looking at you going, who are these new people with all this gear?
That's the thing is that because they were the A guys, they were playing with their dollies and their cranes and stuff like that, and they were more than happy to have you as that, and then you could learn from them.
Exactly. Yeah.
You didn't have this accelerated kind of degree that you had to you know, and you had a little bit more. You were looked after a little bit more than you would have now jumping straight
agreed, because now there are these
camera.
people who jump in straight in. I've gone in just on day playing stuff to help people out or whatever. I'm the B operator, and I'll look at the A operator. It's just like they clearly have not done it long, and they just are sort of flailing. And I always feel badly because it's like I don't want to go in and go, well, this is what you should do because I'm just day playing or whatever. But at the same time, it's like you want to help people, and it's a little bizarre. There's no question about that. So do you remember the point where you got, how long did it take you from when you started Steadicam to when you could go onto a set and go, I can do what they need. I feel confident in this.
We did a lot of stuff in South Africa.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of things that I can't unsee. And I learned, I think that put me in a good position.
So by the time you came here, you were already at
yes,
that point?
Yeah.
Well,
I was never intimidated, let's say, you know. So that was that was kind of cool, you know.
So you did Universal Soldier, and then eventually, I know the next big movie it seems like you did was The Rock, or that was a huge movie.
The Rock was a big thing, and I think I'd done a few shows before then.
Yeah,
and then The Rock was the big thing.
Was that just a complete blast and a huge movie? Because it seems like I remember watching that and just being completely blown away by that movie.
Yeah, and actually, it's a good movie.
It holds up.
It holds up.
Yep.
And I have a sort of with Michael Bay. I've got a love-hate kind of relationship with him.
I don't think you're alone.
I think he's one of those characters that can really drive you crazy, but he's got a little bit of a sweetness in there.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know, maybe that's, but.
Have you worked with him since?
No, I didn't want to.
Okay. So
I didn't want to, and I missed out doing the space movie, which I kicked myself for. Dave did that.
Armageddon?
Armageddon,
yeah.
I was
where he did that crazy flying shot.
Yeah, I wasn't kind to Michael Bay at the end of the
I got you.
the thing.
But again, I don't think you're the only person.
I said things to him that
that was it.
I think Chris Duskin and I think somebody else was standing there when I was like dressing.
All right, I'm going to ask Chris
Michael
Duskin
Bay
about
down.
this. That's fantastic. Well, it was a great movie nonetheless.
I was like,
and you did amazing work in that. So, I mean, because it seems like at that point you were just going from like big movie to big movie to big movie.
Yeah,
to me anyway.
I don't know why.
Does it just become? Was it that you were working with the people and they went on to the next movie and brought you with them, kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. We just I can't. It was a different time
Yeah.
for sure. Let's say that there were less steadicam operators
Yep.
out there. And we still could look up to like Larry and Steve St. John,
Yep.
and Jimmy Muro was a big,
Unbelievable.
a big factor, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you get, let's say Jimmy wanted to leave a show to go and do something personal or whatever like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I came on, let's say, and then I have a whole new group of people that say, "Oh, Chris, we're going to do a movie. Let's include Chris." Whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
And you're on that train now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, you know, there weren't 35 people. There were maybe 16 people.
And of
that
those
were like,
16, there
yeah.
were only so many out here, and only so many were
yeah.
the people you could go. They could come in and absolutely be no problem.
Totally.
Yeah.
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 So I don't know. It's you know, there were still there were the giants like Randy Nolan, you
Yep.
know, Larry, of course, Ted and Garrett and
Yep.
stuff. And I actually looked at. I got a big kick out of. I watched Casino because I'm about to go to do a casino movie.
Oh,
you
okay.
know,
So you
in
watched it
Las
for
Vegas.
reference.
So I watched Casino, and I did some
Which you
work
worked
on
on.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as the crawl came down, it said it was Garrett Brown,
Yeah.
Chris Haarhoff, Jimmy Muro,
Jimmy Muro. Yeah.
and then down below, and the next one was Colin Anderson. He was the Jimmy's assistant.
Oh wow, Colin Anderson now
Yeah.
an incredible
Which
Steadicam
is,
operator.
he does all the cool shots,
Yeah,
the really beautiful movies.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
He's
So-
quite awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
But wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's quite amazing. I'll ask you about it now. I was gonna ask you about it later. So Casino, working with someone like Scorsese and coming in, it was Garrett's show, but obviously he wasn't available on some shots or whatever.
Yes,
So they
yeah.
called him. Like, what's the head game like that, where you go in and
Well,
it's
that was I don't know. It's there's some kind of I think I just I just wasn't intimidated.
you don't let it affect you. Yeah.
Maybe I'm more intimidated now, you know, because there are a lot of moving parts now that I didn't have to deal with then. You know?
True. Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
And it's it seems to have gotten a little bit complicated, you know.
I would, you know what? I don't know if I'd say it's gotten complicated. I think the difference for me is that it used to be that almost everybody knew what they were doing, and now there's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing, and I have to go, okay, I can't really trust what's going on here, so I got to make sure that's going to happen. And you have to do a lot more to make sure that you can be successful now, I think, on set. Because there are people in there who like, and maybe it's part of the fact that we've been around for a long time and we just know more. I mean, maybe we were stupid back then and we didn't know enough, but
I think we probably were stupid.
yeah. But I mean, going into something like that where Garrett's been doing the show, do you feel a level of like, oh, I better be on the top of my game, or you just always, or is that always the mentality?
No, I think Garrett had come and gone, and I just. It was just a fortunate thing. I mean, here's how tenuous the whole thing. Like Darius Welcy, he used to do Tony's shows. And, and he's now he did Ridley's. He's basically Ridley's DP.
Yeah. Okay.
And I basically there was a period where there's this company called Chanticleer.
Yeah, they
used to allow the directors to actors to be directors.
And the thing about Chanticleer was they made shorts and they put money into it, and they'd be nominated for the Academy Awards all the time. I worked on a bunch of those.
And I got into that little swing, which was great. But I meet Derek Wolski in one of these little movies, and suddenly I find myself doing Pirates of the Caribbean with Derek Wolski, you know, because I've done a few of those little funky things.
Well, and clearly, because I would imagine the two things are, one, he sees you're good and smart, and the other thing is he liked you. I mean, you're easy to be around, and that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah, and we did, you know, and I did, and also the other thing is there was. When people left the show because they were like getting impacted, let's say, like, and I think like maybe Scott Sakamoto on Crimson Tide,
Okay.
he had to leave to do another show.
Yeah.
and I slide in there because Derek knows me.
Yeah, yeah.
And guess what? I've got a movie with Tony Scott.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, the next one.
And
Yeah.
then it kind of like you sort of fail upwards a little bit.
I don't know if I'd call it failing upwards, but
Yeah.
you fill in upwards. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So at some point so you started out with what, a Model 3 Steadicam, or what did you start out with?
I said I've started out with a Model 2.
Okay,
that
so
I
this
took
is
back to South Africa.
sort of the second version
Yeah.
of the Steadicam-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole story about that which I won't go into.
Okay.
But it's how to trick the customs guys. Basically, they screwed me when I tried to bring my Model 2 into South Africa.
Meaning you bought it here
I
to bring
bought
back
it here.
there?
I came here, did the workshop,
Okay.
took it out there like this, and I thought this would be, everything was dialed in.
Yeah.
But the video tap, that little bit of that Sights video tap that was in my kit.
That big square, like rectangular
it was
one?
actually, it was a small.
Oh, no, you're
pretty
talking about the
smallish,
thing
yeah.
that went into the eyepiece. The eyepiece.
Yes, into the eyepiece.
Yeah.
That over there was listed as video tap.
Okay.
That put it into a whole new category
Oh, jeez.
of
Oh,
thing.
God.
And because I hadn't, and they wanted to say the whole thing was video. And I said, no, guys, it's film.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And they said, no, it says video tap.
And that's a different
And
bracket
then-
or something. Yeah.
And also, because of that, I would now had to pay the penalties.
Oh, jeez. Because
And-
you didn't list it correctly.
and all
or
that
something.
stuff.
Oh, God.
And so it actually cost me much more money just to get it into South Africa than I actually paid for the rig.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I made up my mind, and I was really stressed out by that. And
can't imagine.
And my rig was,
Yeah.
locked up in a warehouse somewhere for months.
Oh,
Anyway, when I came back to the States on one of those Ted Churchill workshops, Jesse Garfield said, look, why don't you just trade your Model 2 in, get a nice new Model 3?
yeah.
And I swore that I would never fall prey to the customs.
The customs people again.
So
yeah.
when I went out of South Africa, I had all the serial numbers were lined up with the new that I was going to
because they don't check it on the way out, of course.
and that was all done. So I took that piece of shit Model 2 out. Then I took my my new Model 3, and here's the problem though. And I realized I was in New York with Jimmy.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with him, and we were at his at the same place, at probably the same place where he did what was it called again? His movie.
I mean, does,
He directed.
Jimmy directed a movie. Jimmy Miro.
Yeah, it's
I didn't know
one of
that.
the wildest movies.
I have to look that up. No, I had no idea. Okay, anyway.
But he's mortified that he did that movie. There were like, in
all have
the
something like
movie,
that.
there's like a penis getting thrown into this.
God.
And there's a whole lot of stuff going on that he is probably not proud of.
This is actually really good because at some point I want to get him on here, and I'll have to watch that just
Yeah.
before that and go. So let me ask you about this. Okay.
So there we are there, and I've got to get on a plane that night,
Yeah.
and I'm mortified because the case is beautiful.
Oh,
And the Steadicam is looking beautiful.
because it's brand new. Yeah,
It's brand new.
Yeah.
So we basically dismantled the rig,
Yeah.
and I took the sides of the Steadicam and just ground it on the ground in the
My
like
God.
this. And then and I had this really nice case, and I
Yeah.
said, Jimmy, this is your and I took his
old case.
his old case.
How hard was it to mess up your brand new Steadicam?
It was. I just scratched the shit out of it.
love
Everything,
that.
the arm.
I
everything
love that.
Scratched it like that.
That's fantastic.
Anyway, so I arrived back in South Africa, and a big finger to the customs, and
Yeah.
I slid right in there. Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So you had a Model 3, but at some point, you and a bunch of other people decided that the Steadicam was not what you wanted it to be, correct?
Yes. Well, I had a little bit of time on my hands, and when I got back with the Model 3, I ran the cable up the post, for starters.
Okay,
to
because
get
the
all
Model 3 had the cables.
They had this they were dangling out on that.
Yeah, the cables like hung out from the
Yeah.
monitor and stuff.
because they were
Yeah.
carrying 4,500 volts or whatever
for
it
the
was, you know,
for
like
the whatever
So-
the tube.
Anyway, the one thing that I started is I made a version of the donkey box. you know.
Okay, which is the top box that holds
Yeah.
the plate and goes fore and aft and side to side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the whole adventure that goes from now to then to now,
Yeah.
is really the beginning of what became the Pro.
Yeah.
How that happened was that I was doing those workshops at Calamigos.
Yeah, we used to have the Steadicam workshops up there.
Yeah. And there was this guy, George Paddock, who
George took the class when I took the class.
really,
I believe so. No, I'm sorry. He showed up when I took the class.
he showed up.
That's
yeah.
what. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. He showed up with the prototype that became the Pro. It was like black plastic with sort of red on it. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was the first time, and he showed up. I remember he showed up at the end of the class with it, and everybody was like, "What is this thing?"
Oh, yeah?
And it was. I just remember being black and red, and I remember not understanding what the big deal was because I didn't really understand Steadicam. But I remember all the operators were just like, "What is going on here?" I don't know if you remember that or not. But anyway, George was there when you were there. You were teaching, and he was taking the course.
He was a student, and he had bought a EFP.
Which is like the video version.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It had a very light monitor on it.
Yeah.
It had all the masses were not in the right place.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
But it was an attempt to draw. Make a simple rig.
Yeah, and like the broadcast people would use it or
broadcast,
something.
yeah,
Yeah, but it
exactly.
conceptually was the same idea.
Expanded mass,
Yep.
and all that stuff
Yep.
like this. So anyway, it immediately I said, look, in order to make this EFP work, you're going to have to do some mechanical stuff on it to make it really nice. You got to put weights here and there and stuff like that. And so we rebuilt that EFP, which actually it turned out to be a kind of a nice little rig, but then, I don't know where it really started. I said the thing that we really need is something that's lateral and forward, and like this, something that we can take the camera and we can move it along at the top. There wasn't anything that we could really do.
Wait, but didn't the 3 and the 3A have fore and aft and side to side?
It had fore and off. It didn't have side to side.
It didn't have side.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Because I used to have on my 2 and my 1, I had this like secondary plate that you would put in between the camera and the thing that would allow you to go side to side.
Right. But did you actually, you had to you had a tool to actually, you still had to.
The one that I had this
screw
thing
it.
that was there, but maybe someone had put it on there and you would turn it. But I was always scared that it would get sheared off
right.
because it stuck out of the side.
Yeah.
So maybe it had a tool and someone put it in there. But yeah conceptually, yeah.
But so we, anyway, suddenly, and by the way, this is, if we want to talk about this you can't talk about it without my living situation.
Oh, that's right.
I found a house in Beechwood Canyon, and I was looking right down the
like right below
Beechwood
the Hollywood
Canyon,
sign, right?
And down Hollywood, I was living the dream, you know.
Yeah.
And I at that time any number of Steadicam operators would be hanging around that place. They would come, guy would pop in and show us reels or something.
Oh, that's great.
I had Andrew Rowlands, I had George Paddock, I had David Emmerichs. We lived together for quite a few years.
Wait, but you didn't live in the place that he lives in now, there, do you?
No.
Okay, that's a different
but
place.
He's stayed in. He's
but
still
he's
in
right there still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's ironically that his road is still on the same road
Oh, is
as
it?
the one
There you go.
Rogerton, yeah.
He actually lives in a really cool
Yeah.
place. So it was just this like Steadicam clubhouse.
It was a Steadicam clubhouse.
That's so cool.
At that point there, I'd bought a Moviecam Compact
Okay.
which I think really helped me refine my style
Yeah.
because I was always dealing with the same camera.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, and that was particularly a bad time because they were starting to try and they didn't have enough lightweights in Panavision.
Yeah.
And they started taking regular ones, and they had a sort of a kit that
They drill them out and stuff.
and they were so heavy.
They were horrible.
They were terrible.
And no two were the same. They were completely different.
Everything was like so there were all these variables, and I liken that to when you start putting different cameras on all the time. You're changing. It's like a piano, where you take the keys and you change the size of the keys each time.
Absolutely.
So every time you pick the thing up,
it does something different.
The key, it's just a little bit different.
Yep.
So,
Oh, that's interesting.
I had my compact, and I was actually quite happy with my Model 3.
Yeah.
But then there was a bit of a disruptor with this donkey box.
Yeah.
And we managed to make that so it was completely seamless. You know, you could go left and right.
And so that you took it off the old Model 3 and put that on in its place, you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And at that point there, I had no intention of like changing the rig itself.
Yeah.
I'd now dialed in my Model 3 and I was very happy with it.
Yeah.
But then this is when the next thing happened. Oh, by the way, we were always concerned about infringing on Garrett's patents and everything like that.
I was going to ask you about this. Okay.
So here's a sort of the genealogy of it. Is that Bob DeRose
It was like a
machinist,
right?
Yeah.
Then did he do stuff with the film industry before you guys?
He was drawn into it with because of Steve St. John said, like Steve wanted things. He wanted those handles to be. He wanted a fatter handle, things like that. And Bob started making little widgets,
and people
stuff
started
like
to
that.
go, hey, you can go to Bob and make this and whatever. I got
And
you.
a lot of the Model 2s were converted very nicely.
Yep.
To be, and you could, like Dave had a Model 2 for a long time, and a lot of it was converted by
With Bob DeRose.
DeRose.
Oh, okay. So you'd bring it into him, and he'd do like the conversion on
Exactly.
it. Okay.
And he did a lot of that stuff. So he did the extended post. That was the first extended post.
Yep.
He also did the handle, and he then incorporated the donkey box.
Okay.
Thing.
Gotcha.
And donkey box is my name. My choice of name for it.
And why? I've always wondered.
I have no idea.
I love the fact that you have no idea. Because
I
so
thought
many people ask me that. I'm like, I don't know.
And I thought it'd be so really cool if people were using this thing all around the world,
And
not knowing
not
why
knowing
it's
Well,
called.
you've achieved that, so well done, sir.
They're like still scratching their heads.
Yeah, no, I was actually just on something where I was like, well, this is the donkey box. And someone was like, why is it called the donkey box? I was like,
I have no idea.
I love the fact that you don't know either.
Yeah.
That's great.
So anyway, now it's the D box, because it's more. We're not in a fun world anymore.
No, you can't say donkey box anymore.
Yeah.
But we're saying it here.
So anyway, the thing was that over there, and one of the things that actually like let us off the hook a little bit was that Garrett
with the patent situation.
Because Bob was basically just taking stuff and modifying it.
Yeah, he was Frankensteining things, sort of. Yeah.
And then I got a call from Garrett and said, "Hey, he wanted one of the donkey boxes." So
because he just heard it some workshop or something,
and he started with that. So it went like sort of a little bit of like, okay, as long as Garrett is cool with the donkey box.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me though, because he's always been about let's make it better, and we're all going to make it better, and I mean, patents are another thing, but it's not like you were manufacturing them and selling 2,000.
Well, he had to be careful. He had that run-in with with Panavision.
Yep.
And Gottschalk.
With the Panaflex. No, with the Pana.
Yeah.
What was it called? Was it Pana?
Panaglide.
No, Panaglide.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, that was a complete rip-off.
I flew one once, and it was
Okay.
horrible.
Yeah, it didn't have a good gimbal. It
And
didn't have
also,
all
the monitor was on this little spud, and if you walked at a certain cadence, the monitor would just sort of like go wang, 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 wang.
Yeah. It looked
incredible.
cool,
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
Anyway.
So the long and the short of that, the donkey box actually took, and of course Jimmy had got it, and then Steve got it, and then Greg Lunsgaard got it, and like this, and it's kind of all those guys, all that you probably got it at some point, right?
No, I by the time that I got to that point, I went from Model 2 to a Pro when it came out.
Right.
Yeah, I bought a Pro like once it was a thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And it did change the way we operated, because you could be much more accurate with
Balance and all that.
Yeah, tuning up the rig and everything like that. It was great. And I had basically sort of just, I think George was already living with me at that point. Why not? Or he lived in Arizona and he would come and stay.
I just have this image. You guys like in the morning eating cereal with like paper out.
Exactly. Oh, there's a whole exactly.
That's fantastic.
It was really cool, and
I'll bet.
those were great times. And Dave and I, when we watched copious amounts of Discovery Channel. Of watching airplanes getting built. It was all about fly. Remember, it was called Wings, I think. It was
yeah.
And it was great. We were the happiest. We were such nerds,
That's great.
Yeah. So anyway, and George would pop in from Arizona, and he'd stay for a while, and he'd go back and do whatever he was doing, you know. And he was trying to ply himself as a operator as well.
Yeah.
But I think he didn't have the bullshit filter tuned in.
Okay.
And he didn't have that little schmooze thing that you need.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that. Right? and he was happier just building stuff.
Yeah, which he did very well.
Anyway, so the next thing happened, and this is a significant little chapter. He suddenly popped up and said, "Hey, I've got a guy in Arizona who can take that whole monitor and the tripler and everything out, because that's old architecture. You know, it's like from the 50s.
I was going to say it's massively old technology.
F4 Fido or something, and which, by the way, that original Model 3 was, I think, was all the information we ever needed visually.
The green screen. Yeah.
We have now this color, and your eye gets distracted by
I totally agree.
colors, and you've seen too much, and you're not like you're finicking about like something that really, that.
I remember people would be like, "Well, how do you tell what the lighting's like?" I'm like, "I don't care what the lighting's like. That's not my problem.
It's tones and it's frame, and it's like, right. And you saw everything you needed.
Yep.
And
I don't disagree.
And now we're overwhelmed.
Well, and now also people have these massive monitors that you almost have to like scan from side to side, and it used to be, even though they were small. I mean, like what was the Model 1 that I started out on was like 3 inches diagonal or 3.5 inches diagonal.
And when we finally did the monitor, we made that the tube right with very on each side. It was virtually maybe 5 millimeters or something, or 6 millimeters. That so that you could see past the monitor easily.
Oh, you're saying you took it all the way up to the image, all the way up to the edge, as opposed to because the 3 was actually inset, and there was like an inch on each side of the housing and whatever. Oh yeah.
But now everything, all the stuff that like goes to just put that monitor where it is, and that whole idea that all that. I shouldn't get. I'm going to get detracted with that.
But basically, George said, "I got a guy who can build us the monitor that we want," and that was the Pro monitor, which was
everything can go in there.
Yeah,
and it was hard to imagine that could actually happen. But he drove that.
Yeah.
with this guy in Arizona.
And that monitor was fantastic. I remember that monitor.
He did 2 versions. One was an early one, and that was the second one was fantastic.
I think I had the second one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had the second one.
It was great.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was great. And the thing is, now we were like thinking, well, we're now sort of starting to could be infringing
On patents and whatnot.
on the patent.
Yeah.
And we weren't even looking at the patent at that point because Bob DeRose had already made all you could get a post from him.
Yeah.
You could get a donkey box from him. You could all the bracketry to mount a monitor of your choice.
Yep.
And you had all that. So it was like little bits and pieces. So we weren't that intimidated by that, you know. Anyway, the first thing we did to make sure that we were not, we didn't have that characteristic of trying to like take down CP or anything like this. We went to Cinema Products and said, and we spoke to...
This is the company that owned the patent and created the Steadicam back then. Yeah.
Yes.
Ed DiGiulio?
Yeah. No, it was Jack Holzman was then at that point. He was the CEO or the owner.
Or the big honcho.
Jack Holzman. And I remember we went in there and we said, we have this monitor. We see it as being part of the Model 3 or whatever, like this. We wanted to we want Cinema Products to have it. And I think that was just a kind of we really didn't have any designs for a rig per se.
Yeah, yeah.
And given that you have to build a gimbal and an arm and a vest and everything like this, I mean, who would want to get into that? Yeah.
Exactly. Little did you know.
So anyway, we sat there with Jack Holzman, and he, I remember Ed DiGiulio actually called us.
Who was the president of the company or something like that. Yeah.
And Ed DiGiulio was a big guy in that time. At that time,
wonderful guy.
Yeah, lovely, sweet guy. Yeah. And he just said, like, you know what? Thank you for showing us, but we're going to pass.
Thanks, but no thanks. Yeah.
And I think it kind of baffled us a little bit because it was such an obvious. There's the monitor. You don't have to, you know. I think that at that point, Cinema Products were already had their eye on the Master Series, and they didn't want to.
And they're probably so far down a road that they're like, we're not going to retool and this and that.
And
the
I
other.
think that could be the why, because
that would make sense.
Because for them to just discard it and say no,
that's clearly such an improvement. Yeah.
Anyway, so that was that. So now we're like, okay, cool. We'll just keep on adding these monitors to what Bob DeRose is doing.
So basically, like your 3A, you just hacked off your monitor and changed the arm a little bit and put the new monitor on.
Exactly. Yeah. And you actually had to put weights in the thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually, because Dave was there, George was there, why aren't we just making a rig? You know, why didn't we make it better? And there was a reason. One of the things is that we, if you remember with the Model 3, we always had to have a rectifier to up volt the
tube
for the Panavisions.
Yes.
Had 24 volts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we had to do that like that. And I got to say,
there's a 12-volt battery, and you had to double it up to get to 24.
And many times when I was in that zone, we would find ourselves with a lot of video artifacts,
noise,
and sometimes you'd have it on one day you'd be great, or with one particular.
You're talking
camera.
about before with the old monitor before you went to the Pro monitor.
Before the Pro,
exactly. because things were crossing and power was crossing and all that stuff.
We had the rectifier and the monitor was driven by that same battery.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And also the the motors on were not grounded properly
Yep,
or whatever.
yep.
It could be a nightmare. I found myself in the middle of a shot, just without actually being able to see what I'm trying to see. Whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we hit on was let's get two batteries that would be dedicated to the power, which would be great.
Yep.
And one separated one for all the videos.
So you isolate the video from everything else. Yeah.
So
that was
the focus, and also even with that rectifier, suddenly like on your sights would start jittering or something.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
follow
There was
focus.
all kinds of weird stuff.
Yep, I remember that
And
well.
we wanted to isolate, and there were 3 batteries. We could take care of all that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we started to design the thing on our little on a table, particularly in the lounge, and all the little things that we scratched on and like this ended up on this table.
Yeah.
And eventually, when I got married, my wife she announced that the people were coming to get the table. And I was like, "What do you mean you?"
Oh, you mean you'd actually scratch things into as you're doodling or whatever?
You could see us doing the little things. Yeah.
Oh no!
Maybe just through the paper, like this.
Yeah.
And I always thought, oh, cool. There's that. That's
the genesis of the whole thing.
Genesis of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then on one Saturday morning, the people have come to get the table. And I said, "What do you mean the table?"
What
I
table?
said, "No, we're getting rid of that table." And I was like, "No, you can't get rid of the table. Like this, can we talk about this?" And the guy had driven from San Diego to come to get this table.
Oh, jeez.
And I had to watch it go, and I took some photographs of it like this because it had all the scratches on it, like you could see.
And he probably took it and sanded it down or something like that. That's horrible.
Yeah. So
oh my God.
So that went away,
Oh,
but we had a
wow.
lot of fun, and I got to say it was a real fun doing it. You know.
How long of a period are we talking about from when you decided let's make a rig to the first Pro prototype exists?
It happened quite quickly, probably 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
for the sled.
Yeah.
But now I remember we didn't have the gimbal.
Yeah, the gimbal's
And we
gotta
didn't
be-
have an arm.
So
And we didn't have a vest.
Yeah.
Which is, in terms of the rig itself, just expanding. It's basically just expanded masses.
I mean, actually, when you think about it, once you've made the monitor, the rest of it, is not. It's just figuring out how the pieces go together and whatever. But it's still impressive.
We were kind of smart with the monitor. We always put the weight deeper away from the monitor
so
because you want to expand that.
Yep.
And that's the other thing about the Model 3. The Model 3 looks like it's symmetrical, but it's not. There's stuff hanging to the left and the right and everything. And I'd filled up my that casing myself to balance it better, like that.
Gotcha.
And so we kind of stayed with everything we did was on a line. It was that was great. And we got the whole battery thing sorted out. Dave Emmerichs came up with the name of Pro.
Yep.
I wasn't on it. I wasn't on with that.
You wanted to be Donkey.
I wanted it to look like some other stupid name. And I got it. And thank heavens.
Do you remember what any of them were? What it should have been? What it could have been called? You have any thoughts?
Because we had to name it something.
I know.
And
most people probably don't know, but Pro actually stands for Paddock Radical Option, which really, nothing against Dave Emmerichs, is sort of a silly name. Pro is great, but
Pro. And Dave, luckily we had an arm wrestle on that one, and I was like. And I was like, and he was like this. And I said, okay, fine, it's Pro.
Dave's sitting there going, it's not being called Armadillo. I don't care about it.
I'd worn out my donkey box.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
They sent me into the corner and said, stay there
That's
for a while.
hysterical.
Yeah.
Actually, but I will say, Pro was a name that stuck. So
yes, it certainly did.
Paddock Radical Option. I bet nobody knows, but it was
Now-
I think it was written on there somewhere.
Now, initially, let's jump to ahead. So now we've got the rig essentially.
Yep.
We've got a donkey box.
And
we've
you're
got
using the old 3
batteries.
gimbal.
Yeah, and we're using
yeah.
the Model 3 gimbal.
Yeah.
And I think that they at one point, and this is one of the like scuffs that we got into with Tiffin. I mean, with
Cinema Products.
Cinema Products was that we wanted to include a arm
Yeah.
because we couldn't sell the whole rig because we didn't have an arm and we didn't have a vest.
And
we
did
didn't-
Cinema
and we
Products just sell arms and vests yet? Or they did?
No, they did the.
You
whole
bought
rig.
everything or nothing?
They did the whole rig.
So, yeah.
But they wouldn't sell us. They didn't want to sell
just
us
arms, yeah.
the arms.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to sell us the gimbals.
Yeah, so it basically means a new person getting into it has no option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But people would just basically pull their gimbal off,
Yeah.
put it onto the Pro, and then they'd also take use the arm
and the
Model
vest.
3,
Yeah, yeah.
Which in itself is a good arm.
Yeah.
But remember, if you raise it to the top, you're probably putting about 15 pounds of force to get it
Yep.
over somebody's shoulder.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to like bottom it out a little bit, you're probably pushing it down to 12.
Yeah, it really
like
liked
that.
the middle,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
rest you had to fight with it. Although that said, people did great shots with those
We did
arms.
great shots.
I don't know
Exactly.
how, but they did.
Yeah,
So,
totally. There was there was nothing wrong. If the Model 3 worked perfectly, we could still be doing it.
Exactly, yeah.
But I think we were coming into a sort of an era where we wanted to try just solve the problems.
Yeah, yeah.
And then anyway, so the gimbal was still a CP,
Mm-hmm.
and at this point here, that patent had expired.
I didn't know that.
For the actual the whole system, the expanded masses and everything, and the
Gotcha.
gimbal and everything.
So it's open
attached.
season on what
Yeah.
you want to do. But that said, making a gimbal from scratch is not
Is not
it's
easy.
not nothing. Yeah.
There were a couple of things that we needed to improve. The Model 3 gimbal had done a lot of work, and actually to this day, because of the size of the bearings,
Mm-hmm.
the Model 3 could get away with murder because the bearings on the Pro
Or smaller.
are bigger.
Or bigger.
Bigger.
Oh, okay.
It has more. If you have your pan bearing contaminated,
Yeah.
it really shows up
Oh, yeah.
because of the moment, in there.
Yeah,
Whereas on a Model 3, you can get away with it.
Del White, second AC? Del White?
No.
He's like a career second AC. He's been around forever. I'll just stop you for a second because you'll get a kick out of this. And I did a TV show with him. And on Friday, he was like, "Is the Steadicam done for the day?" And I'm thinking, put it in the truck or whatever. I was like, yeah, it's done. And he goes, great. And he disappears and he comes back and he goes, hey, listen, I put it away, but I cleaned everything first. And I'm like, oh, no, that's cool. Yeah. And, I assumed he hosed it off or whatever. And I bring it up on Monday morning and I go to do a pan and it just goes, and it goes much farther than I'm used to.
Oh, really?
And I go, hey, Dale, yeah. Did you do something to the gimbal? And he's like, well, I took it out and I cleaned everything because it just was like, it felt really gritty and whatever. And he goes, was that bad? And I was like, no, I've never done that before. He goes, seriously? He goes, that makes sense because there was a lot of stuff in there. And suddenly I was like, oh, this is how it's
This is how
to
it should be, yeah. Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so that anyway, so the long and the short of it is then we just marched from one piece to another.
But let me ask you a question because, to the best of my knowledge, none of you have engineering degrees. Or did George have something?
Yes, the arm was way out of our league.
Okay.
The way was way out of league, and we basically had two guys that we came across, and their names are Mitch Burham and Greg Richards.
And they were engineers of some
Yes.
level? Okay,
And
gotcha.
I got hold of them because I'd been recommended to somebody else, and they said, no, we can't do it, but check these other guys
This is how it
out.
works, though, right? Yeah.
And we suddenly found ourselves with the perfect guys for the arm.
And what did they do that they knew spring tensions? And I mean, what was their
They knew they were the real deal.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
If you think about the arm, the Model 3 arm, it has a couple of it basically it's kind of twisting all the time. If you
The
put
springs inside of it. Yeah.
Just the actual structure is just twisting a little bit. So there's a bit of friction there.
Yeah.
The fact that you run cables over a pulley, there's friction there.
Yeah.
And also, and they had because that spring is elongated and pulled. If that fails,
Which I actually
it does,
it did on me.
it's
in
a
shot.
scary situation.
It's a very scary
It's
situation.
a very scary situation.
Laura Dern almost had
Yeah.
a heart attack
Yeah.
like 2 feet away from me when it happened, and I thought like
Boom. Yeah.
I thought like my legs had broken or something. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
It's kind of scary. Yeah.
Yep.
And so it had got, and maybe it was never meant for the kind of cameras that we ended up, BLs and whatever. And anyway, so we found these guys, and it was a push and pull of, because making it was keeping these things in these containers, and compression.
Yep.
And also without any cables. It's basically, and I don't want to go into all the details about it, but we found ourselves at a cul-de-sac many times with the arm.
And them just saying there's no way it can do that.
There's no way,
we can't.
because if you look at it, the lifting triangle is very, very acute. There's like the preload on each of those springs is enormous.
Yeah.
And we're just adjusting the last little piece.
Oh, is that right? Interesting.
It's like hundreds of pounds.
Wow.
Like that is in there when it's just sitting doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then we're adding more to it.
And anybody who's listening who doesn't know anything about this probably has no idea what we're talking about. But the Pro Arm had compression springs, so they compress actually, and the 3A arm had, what's the opposite of that? They pulled apart. I don't know. Anyways, it's like pulling a spring versus pushing it. So it's totally different concept.
Right.
And these guys obviously said, when you basically went and said, this is what we needed to do. And then at some point they said, well, then you're never going to get there if it does it this way. They've got to be compression, because they knew what was going on. That's amazing.
We went. We were very lucky because we actually could go. We could really find our way along the way, and I think it was because there were just the four of us.
Yeah.
And
The fourth being Mark O'Kane?
No, Mark O'Kane wasn't part of that.
Oh, okay.
Per se, he came and he became very instrumental with the vest.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I think I knew that.
Yeah.
So who were the four who were dealing with the arm?
The two engineers and myself and George.
And George, I got you. Okay.
And I'm sure Dave threw in his parts as well.
But you were the
if I
instrumental.
remember.
Yeah.
This was quite a long way later, and because the patent on the arm, the CP or Garrett had when that arm when he patented the arm, they extended it. They had a longer patent.
Gotcha.
Because they made something else on it.
They'll change something and it
maybe
reignites
the articulation in the middle of something or whatever it was.
Yep.
But that became that extended the patent.
So you had to wait till that.
We had to wait, and I think it
Okay.
was like, let's say it was 18 months or 2 years or whatever it was that we had to wait,
But
So-
going back, it seems like if CP had said, we'll sell arms and vests separately, this Pro Arm, which is amazing, would probably wouldn't exist, right?
That's it. Yeah, we weren't trying to.
It was necessity.
It was necessity. Yeah.
Yeah, and you figure as long as you're doing it, we'll try to make it what we actually want.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the arm that we have now on the Pro is a heavy arm.
Mm-hmm.
It's heavyish, but it's between the combination of springs and everything. It's got the right feel.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of the isoelastic, and of course Garrett and I we can arm wrestle that.
Yep.
I feel that's like a steering wheel wants a null position. It wants to fall into that null position. You don't want overpower your power steering, kind of thing.
Well, the thing that always amazes me is you have isoelastic arms. You have the arm that you guys made. You have the rubber band arm.
Yes.
And we all have our I like this, I don't like that. I like this, I don't like that. And yet, like, look, the rubber band arm I borrowed from George Billinger because he said it was unbelievable.
Yes.
And I used it, and at first I was like, this is fantastic, to the point that I bought one because I was like, it's lighter and this and that. And then I used it for a while, and I was like, I don't like this. Yes, and yet George uses it and does amazing work with it.
Yeah.
So it's so weird how everybody...
He can't be getting lucky every time.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So there's something that he does that makes that work that I don't do that just doesn't work as well. So it's always interesting to me.
In a sense, we're in a very healthy place in terms of the
equipment.
Steadicam.
Yeah.
I watched. I think a lot of the rigs that are out there now have lost the plot. They really have lost the plot. They basically, there's too much adjustment. There's too much shit.
Yeah.
There's too much gack that you really don't need.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly like Arri or well, there are also these. We can talk about disruptors a little later on, but there's our world has changed completely.
Our world has definitely changed. There's no question about it.
But anyway, to wrap up with the arm, my very first when we had built the thing, I was on Private Ryan, and we had this. One of the aspects of it was to be able to have the arm completely free with the gimbal. You can tune in how much friction you want on the post. The thing, and I thought this was going to be a great idea because that's just another way to isolate us from.
Because the gimbal can actually it gives you another pivot point.
It gives you another pivot point. Your gait and everything like that would be disguised by that. So I made a big mistake. We were chasing some soldiers through the rubble, and I was in low mode. And this is one of the first times I ever used that arm. Yeah. George had flown over. We'd had a problem with it, and he'd gone back, machined something, and he'd come back, and now this was going to be the birth of the arm.
Yeah.
And I went charging off. And I didn't know where the rig was going
because of that extra.
Because I had this extra pivot. I didn't know at full speed, low mode. I didn't know what was going on, where it was going.
Why is it doing this? I could totally see that.
And I hit a piece of slate, and I took one of my biggest falls.
Oh my gosh!
In the rain, smash, and we smashed the arm into the ground.
Wow. And this is probably the only one that exists or one of a couple.
One that exists.
Oh, my God.
But the thing is bulletproof.
Yeah.
The
well, at least
arm
you found
was
out.
fine. I was humbled. So
on that note, I will tell you that you guys showed it in like Venice or Santa Monica or something like that?
At a
like a gallery?
Art gallery,
I vaguely remember this. And I remember going and seeing it. I put it on. I pushed it down, I picked it up, and I turned to George and I said, put me on the list, I want one. And because that was all I needed. I was like, this is unbelievable. And then when I got it, I put the post in, and I saw that there was the bearing, and the post could turn, and I put it on the gimbal, and I was like, I hate this, and I cranked it down, and I leave it cranked every time because I'm like, I'm sure it must be great for someone. I can't deal with it, and it's the same thing because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It's like, just want to be where I want to be.
Absolutely,
that's very funny. Wow. Well, that's an incredible ride, and I mean that rig really changed. Number one, it changed what we had to use, and I think it made a lot of new things possible. And I think it also changed things on a larger level of people going, oh, well, there's a lot of people who can do this, and people started making rigs, and you had choices.
Absolutely. Greg Bubb.
Yep, Greg Bubb's unbelievable.
Is Greg's stuff fantastic?
Yeah.
It's like, and he's been really searching for the ultimate rig. You know,
Yes.
he's a searcher.
Yeah,
you know?
and he's gotten very close to it, actually. I mean, his equipment is incredible. But I suspect that a lot of those things wouldn't exist if you guys hadn't sort of broken the mold.
Absolutely.
And said, no, this is anybody can kind of, well, not anybody, but you can do this. That's incredible. I didn't know a lot of that history.
It was, so, and we don't have to go into the gimbal, but there were things that we could improve.
Yeah.
Because if you tilt it up on a Model 3 with a CP gimbal, at the point when you're still pointed upwards, let's say, all that load is coming onto basically a washer, because they were like. There weren't the right bearings for all the axes, you know, like that. And the gimbal is heavier and bigger and all the stuff for a reason, you know. And it's to basically. And there was also another thing. If you remember how the Model 3 gimbal was, when you tighten it, you're basically distorting it.
You're
distorting it in some fashion. You're distorting it.
Yep.
And so we had that like a lot of mechanism to kind of make sure that it's centered.
It's universally centered. Yeah. Well, so, it was a game changer. There's no question about it.
It was, and it was. So that was the disruptor.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It was the disruptor, and I got to say. It's been a quite a wild ride.
Well, you guys hold like a very important place in the world of Steadicam simply because of that. I want to ask you about some specific shows, and then actually just talk about operating a little bit, and then this will be 4.5 hours long, and everybody's probably stopped listening at this point, but I don't care. Saving Private Ryan. Was that just unbelievable? I mean, to be doing something of that scope.
It was great.
Yeah.
There were a couple of elements to it. Stephen is not great when he's like we did AI.
Okay.
And there's it's something that he was most comfortable having Mitch and me running around handheld.
Just because
you're in it.
It's documentary style.
It was
almost.
really and. It was the happiest I've seen him, so that was cool, but it was still hard and weird. But Mitch and I used to drive back.
Mitch Dubin, the camera operator.
We used to drive back in the same car because if in London, you're getting driven everywhere, and we could download our day in that car.
Okay, yeah,
and it was a significant. Part of.
Do you mean the emotional part of it?
The emotional.
Because that's what I was going to ask you about.
I could unload, the problems that I might be having with Stephen, or navigating around Stephen, or whatever. But once we were camera in hand and charging, virtually all the time, Stephen is like, "Oh my God, this is great!" Blah blah blah. Like that is cool.
And is it hard to shoot something like that? That's that realistic and that sort of. I mean, like the storming of the beach and all that stuff. I mean, that's.
Well, let me. Mitch actually had a sort of a way of describing it, and it was a little bit like D-Day itself.
Okay.
Because we actually did not know, and Stephen did not know how he was going to shoot the movie.
Really?
He had, he knew it was going to have to be on, a moving, there were so many battles and stuff like that, we're going to have to be in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a sort of a let's draw pictures and make
And set it up and rehearse.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
yeah.
And Mitch put it like, we arrived there. First of all, we had the wrong cameras.
Okay.
Because we were flying Panavision camera, Panavision Platinum and a Gold.
Oh my gosh.
And we always had the pre-flasher.
Oh, on the front. Okay,
on
which
the,
is
on
heavy.
On the top.
On the top.
Oh,
Sorry. Yeah, it comes
yeah.
down. Yeah.
Pre-flasher.
Yeah.
That added more weight.
Oh my gosh.
And we also and we were flying at we were doing 45 degrees or 90 degrees. That was our world,
Shutters,
on the shutter, like this. And at one point we managed to get a movie cam compact that we could, but then we wouldn't have the pre-flash. We'd have to post-flash it like this. Yeah. So we were learning as we were going, and eventually, if you look at it, we ended up handheld. There was one long dolly shot with a sort of a structure suit for it to take a right angle, that. But we used the dolly a few times.
But the rest was handheld.
The crane, of course, was not a Technic crane. It was just a regular crane.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing handheld steadicam, and Mitch was a Trojan, and we just basically
That must have been
gritted our
unbelievable, though.
teeth,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. It was really amazing, and it was a great experience.
It's an incredible feat, and you couldn't be in there with a better operator. I mean, to have the two of you there must have been incredible.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
We had and I might have told the story before, but it really was the run from when they land on the beach, and then they get to this berm. That was basically everything, like all the explosions, all the shooting, everything was happening, and we basically ran from there to there, and I had my eye on the eyepiece in a long
Because this is film.
long.
Yeah,
and, there was a
Wait, it was a long eyepiece?
a long eyepiece.
So were
yeah.
you cradling the camera
I'm
then?
holding the cradle with my eye, using my eyeball as the
To stabilize.
to stabilize the thing. Mitch is doing whatever Mitch is, and we had to cross each other.
Oh, jeez.
And stuff like that, and we were, and the whole thing was like, guys, everybody, we go left on this explosion, right on that explosion, and when we hit to the water, we must slow down.
Yeah.
We must slow down, otherwise I'm going down because there's pipes for the thing. And when we got to that berm, Mitch and I, we still had a bit of the scene to do.
Yeah.
And then it was cut like this, and our eyebrows are completely burnt off.
Oh my God.
And I turned to the guys. I said, "Guys, how did we get through that pond?
Yeah.
I don't remember you slowing me down." And they said, "We didn't slow down. We went through that at a full sprint."
Because you're so in the scene, you're not thinking
I had
about
a Czechoslovakian stunt guy. I said to him, "Don't go too fast."
Yeah.
And of course,
They're hopped up on adrenaline, and
as soon as the guns and the things hit, it was an out-of-body experience. And I don't think that there are many people that have had that experience, had that amount of impact and concussion all the time. It does something to your body.
Well, it's got to send you into flight mode, right?
Yeah, flight mode. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you what step I took or whatever like this. And when we landed there, both of us did not. We couldn't even work out how we got there.
That's incredible.
It was unbelievable.
That's incredible.
That experience,
but that's where all the years of experience actually come in, because you're not thinking about it anymore, right? It's all.
Then it's like survival.
It is.
But the thing was that Stephen had actually we had two. batches of explosives and
So you could do it
and-
twice, but the whole thing
yeah.
twice. Yeah.
I mean, we had that big. We had guns shooting at us all the time, explosions everywhere, and real big explosions, and guys getting blown up and
Yeah.
everything like that. And so we had a second run that we could have done, and we looked at this. These were two shots, Mitch and mine.
yeah.
And we went back there, and he looked at it and he goes, "Cool, we're moving on."
Moving on.
And you're going like, he says, "No, I'm going to use all this other stuff when we get to the town."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Amazing. Wow.
and we were terrified. We had a cable dragging behind us, you know,
because
because all
For video,
we weren't. We were every time there was big concussion, the video tap didn't work
so
properly.
you had to
or
drag
the
cable.
transmitter didn't
Oh
work
my
properly,
gosh.
you know?
That's
all that stuff,
that
yeah.
sounds just wild.
Yeah.
Almost Famous with John Toll.
Yes.
I only have to ask about it because it's like I think Almost Famous may be the perfect movie. I
It is.
love that movie.
And I think it's for a lot of people as well. If you say, "Oh yeah," they say that's my favorite movie.
It's
Yeah,
such a
like
great movie. It hits every
yeah.
note. It's so well done. Was that a great film to work on?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was just as like, and it's Cameron Crowe being
Brilliant.
Cameron Crowe,
Yeah.
which was it was golden.
Yeah.
And we just to this day, we had Peter Frampton, by the way, hanging out on the back of the camera on the tailgate.
Was he the
you know?
music consultant or something? Or?
He was the music consultant, and he was also he wrote some of the
some of the,
him and Nancy.
Yeah.
Nancy wrote the actual songs.
The songs that Stillwater
And
played. Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
that's why they sound so good.
And we were basically he would just come and hang out, and he with Herb Alt, who was also
You got to be kidding me.
And I sit there, and
Oh,
I
my
had
God.
I had a dog with me. I picked a dog up off the freeway on my way to work one day, and he became like everybody's friend.
Sure.
And that everybody was like worrying about the dog, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd sit on the tailgate, and there'd be Peter Frampton and Herb Alt. And,
That's the kind of stuff about this business that's just you can't even.
and all the way through that, Peter wanted to put the Steadicam on,
Yeah.
and I was like, and I should have said, well, okay, but you got to show me some chords.
I was
you
just
know?
going to ask you that. That's what I would
I
have done.
said, like, I'll swap you. Just give me a chord. How do you make that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can you please? Now's the time. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing was that eventually, as we started closing up the movie, maybe we had a week or so.
Yeah.
Then I said, Peter, if you want to put the Steadicam on, this is the time. You know, and he's the sweetest person on the planet.
great.
He's a lovely guy, you know. And anyway, I got the rig as light as possible. I had to put
Sure.
an Arri on there with the smallest lens and everything. I dialed it in like this, and I got it on him. But I was so scared because he's a very slight guy.
He's frail.
He's
Not frail, but
he's
yeah.
slight.
He's
And-
going to break.
And I was so horrified that I could like hurt this guy who is a legend.
Exactly.
And so it's supposedly I should have been there, go like, "Hi, Peter's." You know, I think I couldn't take my eye off him. There's a very grainy image, like past somebody of me and Peter Frampton with the Steadicam, and I was like, I should have made the effort, you know,
Yeah.
for Peter Frampton. Look,
Yeah.
with
But
the
you were so
Steadicam
worried
on.
about
Yeah.
something happening to
And
him.
I
Well,
was so-
that's sweet.
And anyway,
And John told me something about them building some rail inside the bus to do those moving down the like some underslung thing that the key group came up with or something.
yeah, it was her basically.
Yeah. It was her. Yeah.
And we basically they had a railing thing all the way on the top because we could have had put Steadicam in there, but it would have a different feel.
Absolutely. Because those shots feel so great.
They're so great because they peel the various characters off in
Exactly.
their chairs.
Yep.
You know, like this, and he wanted it at eye height. You know, like that.
Yeah.
and it was great. It was absolutely wonderful.
That's just such an amazing thing to be a part of. Salton Sea, which nobody knows about, but
Salton
everybody
Sea.
should see, is such a great movie.
Yeah.
DJ Caruso, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it
Didn't hit. It was a weird movie.
It's a weird movie, but it's a good movie.
But it's a great movie. Anybody who's go see the Salton Sea.
And there's we did we did a lot of ramping, with our through when they're all like high and thing like that, stepping over people and stuff like that. And then John Grillo was the first the focus puller, and he was at that time,
And Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, just like. He's from another world in that movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it's just he's frightening in that movie.
No, that's good, yeah.
And just because I have to ask you about it before I ask you about the final thing, Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids, what a surprise! It's such a sweet and Christian Wig, and
it's the funniest movie. I mean, were you just laughing the entire time?
Yeah, it was. I got to say. It's funny you say about that.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure what kind of a movie this was going to be, and it was, but the people were great. And we've got Bob Yeoman, and I've got Casey Hodgkiss, and like that. And we're in the set of the plane. They're flying back like this. And she comes out like
the whole thing about the
she's like
Melissa McCarthy.
She's getting horny.
Wait,
and
she has that thing where she puts her leg like
she
up
puts
in
her leg up and says like, and she says like, check that out like this, and check out.
And that guy's her husband too. The guy that she's playing against.
Yeah.
That's right.
The two of them.
Forgot about that.
It's the weirdest brand of comedy.
It is.
But I promise you, I almost was pissing in my pants.
I can imagine. That's why I want to ask you.
And in the eyepiece, the problem in the eyepiece, the whole eyepiece now, I could see like a little wave of my tears inside that. And it was like, I couldn't really see there because
my gosh.
there was a little like little waves of my tears. Fully, just, I couldn't. And I actually had to bite myself to hurt myself.
I've done that before.
To not
laugh.
Start laugh.
Yeah.
It was the
well, and also the thing is that
thing.
must have been. I mean, because Melissa McCarthy wasn't Melissa McCarthy. Nobody knew who she was. So it must have been like this woman who I've never seen before is coming in and just completely chewing this up. I mean, it's hysterical. That is one of the funniest sequences.
And I didn't know, and for some reason I was in a position where I could see everything that was happening.
Yeah.
The physical comedy is hysterical, and I'd never
great.
seen.
I love that.
And it is the one funniest thing I've ever seen on a film set.
I can totally see that because it's funny. I was wondering how much of that movie you had to not laugh because the stuff in that movie is just it's hysterical.
Yeah,
and it's one of the I worked on a movie called The Heat that Paul Feig directed with Casey and with Bob,
right.
And I never worked with them before. And I came in for a day. I ended up doing a couple of days, but my first day, Bob and Casey and I are waiting for the van to take us back to the hotel. It's in Boston. Mm-hmm. And Bob literally physically pushes Casey out of the way and comes up to me and he goes, Dave, it's just so great to have a real operator on set, someone who knows what they're doing, someone who listens and pays attention. And I'm like, what's going on? And Casey's like, what are you talking about? And then they just start going at each other. And I'm like, oh, this is like a thing because they're best friends, but they also just rail on each other. And actually, Casey, I've done a couple movies with him with Melissa McCarthy. And for a while, he was like in her contract because they got along so well.
Yeah.
And she would come on set and she'd be like, what's up, asshole? And he'd be like, nothing. And they'd scream at each other and they love each other. They're and she actually on Ghostbusters, she had T-shirts made up for the crew of this picture of Casey from when he was like 20 with his shirt off and he's like this muscle-bound guy and gave him to everybody for his birthday.
Casey's living the dream.
He's fantastic. And now he's up in Oregon like shooting squirrels and stuff like that. He's great. I can't not ask you about Birdman. Birdman have any Steadicam in it? Was that a Steadicam movie?
Oh yeah.
I mean, when they came to you
the
and
big
talked,
elephant in the room.
yeah, when they came to you and pitched this or not pitched it, or whatever. I mean, were you just like, this is insane? I mean, it just.
No, it was all manageable.
Yeah.
Because but imagine like the sets were built around the dialogue.
Oh, is that right? Because didn't you tell me you guys rehearsed it with like tape marks on the floor originally?
We did
or
it
something?
with flags,
Yeah.
like this, because they had to have those lines out at certain points.
So the hallway
As they
had to be
take a
long
corner,
enough or something.
As they took a corner, they couldn't just have some arbitrary point where their dialogue would stop or whatever, or it all had to match.
So you're saying they'd build the corridor with the flags, and then they'd rehearse it and see if it was long enough, and if it wasn't, they'd add on, and then they'd.
And what we would rehearse in LA.
Yeah.
With that, and basically most of it was Chivo with a little red, just going this to get the pace right.
And that's just on some empty soundstage
and then
somewhere.
We'd ask them to extend a certain corridor or whatever, or we need to move something so that the camera could get around it or something like that.
Yeah.
And so those adjustments were made. We'd start at the beginning of the movie, essentially, and rehearse the whole thing, in pieces,
Yeah.
But that's it. But anyway, it was a process that first of all, because we basically shot most of it on, like 99% of it on an 18 mil,
Yeah.
There's a couple. There's a whole lot more than I could.
I'm sure.
Talk
Well,
about.
by the way, for anybody listening, Chris did a breakdown on the website of a scene. I don't know if you can call it a scene, a part of Birdman. That's really fantastic, and it was just amazing. I mean, the amazing thing, because I think the part that you broke down was all in the actual stage, like the actual New York.
It was a transition. Because we come down and we're on the stage.
Yeah.
And then as we walk through that terrible door.
Yes.
And
then
stairs,
you're in the backstage of the actual thing. But you were saying how you were backing up through that whole thing with nobody on your back because you can't have someone, and I still can't comprehend how you figure all that out. But it's one of those things over the years you just get that second sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that as one shot. I did rehearse it, but it still didn't really help me. I don't know. That.
You still just zen it at a certain point, right?
At some point,
you're in the moment.
Yeah.
Were you surprised? Did you think it worked in the long run as a movie?
I think so. Yeah.
I do too. I mean, some people don't, but I think it totally works.
Totally. I think what they do is, when you're in a two shot of thing with an 18 mil, I think there's a lot of it puts you, the audience, in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not if you're on a long lens and you're a little bit more constricted, you feel like you're kind of invading their space a little bit more.
Yep.
There was enough to the perspective and the shape and everything like that. I think that you're in the right place to just watch what's going on.
Well, in a weird way, it almost feels like you're watching a play. Because of that aspect of it.
Totally.
Did I ever? Because I mentioned early on that you won the SOC award, which you should have, and you took it away from me. I joke about that because I was up for St. Vincent that year, which was basically fodder because I was like, look, we know who's going to get it and where it should go, and it should, but they needed 4 other things to put up against it, so they and I came out only because I wanted to be there when you won. And for the SOC awards, I don't know if you know this or not, but they email you and they say, can you please spell your name so that it's spelled correctly on the award if you should win, and they say that. And I sent it back, and I said CHRISHAR, and she emailed me back, and she goes, no, we need your name. And I said, I understand, but I want you to put this on the award, because if for some stupid reason people vote for me, I want to be able to get up and go, oh my God, this isn't for me. This is clearly yours, because clearly I knew you were going to win, as you should have, because that movie was it was a stupendous achievement. So I should ask you some questions about operating just before.
Yes.
My first question is this: you still get nervous when you start a show?
Strangely, and particularly, I found myself to be a little bit nervous now
Yeah.
when I am, since this whole strike thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've done a few things, and I'm like,
Because you didn't do it for a while, and
didn't pick up a Steadicam for eight months.
I'll tell you, I went back to I started the show that I did, and first couple of Steadicam shots, I was like, ooh, I wonder if I can still do it.
Yeah, I was. Unfortunately, on two of my things that I did, it was stairs going down.
Oh my God.
Which is not my and in low mode.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, this is not the way to kick this whole thing off.
You mean that was right off the bat? You're saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oof, trial
And I
by
don't
fire.
like, how did these two things just?
But then, do you find that like all of your instincts just kick in, and you just like, it's what I've been doing?
I think it is.
Yeah.
By the way, the muscular, I've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I think
My leg, my back is not as
because
strong as it should be.
because of the time off. You mean?
Because of the time off.
Yeah.
Just not, and it's always that one muscle that we, when you're in it, and you're bulletproof.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And to be off is.
Well, I think also, actually, personally speaking, being older, like when I was younger, it'd be like I could probably take 3 months off and get right back into it. And now I'm like, wow, this is heavier than
It's
it used
all
to be.
the
And it's like, no,
recovery, you know?
it actually weighs the same amount that it
This
used
actually
to.
is a heavy car.
I actually had
I'm
someone
looking
come
at an LF or something, a mini LF, and I'm there like, wow, this is a heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm on two blues. I mean, 4 blues.
The canisters and the arms, which
And
is the
usually
light.
When I was doing like Westworld, I would be on a blue and a black, just because of that one lens that comes on. And
Yep.
I don't wanna, like,
So it's a lighter
right.
camera anyway. I had someone come up to me and they go, "Is this heavier at the end of the day?" And I'm like, "No, it's the same weight at the end of the day as it is at the beginning of the day. It doesn't change."
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Steadicam wise, of like the what is Buzz Moyer calls them, horizontal augmentation devices?
Oh.
What do you think? I'm not asking specific to them, but just the concept that these Steadicams now have these electronic stabilization in them. You think that's a good thing? You think that's a bad thing?
What do they call that thing, that the one that goes?
There's the Volt and the Wave.
No, the other Trinities.
Oh, the Trinity. Yeah.
Okay, I've got a pretty maybe it's not snarky, but it's just.
Of course, it's snarky.
I
Go
know
ahead.
exactly that word. The problem with the Wave is you're adding a whole lot of weight up high.
Yep.
And you also add stealing space that we spend a lot of time working to minimize that space above the gimbal.
Yep.
Because so now you put all that there like this. Sadly, if you are generally, and maybe there are some guys that have gotten by it because they've worked something out, but generally it's going to be a heavy, very, very heavy package, and the camera is going to be higher than you want it to be.
Yep.
So you've seen a lot of flaw, and that's with the Wave, you know.
Yep.
And I've played with the Wave, and I feel very uncoupled from it.
Oh, interesting.
A lot of the instincts that you normally have in that we've built over 30 years or whatever it is.
Yep.
Those instincts I have to think about.
You have to unlearn in a weird way. Yeah.
So I would not have a Wave, even though we tried to build a Wave type thing. And that's a whole nother story. And we came very close to it. it was just the wrong time. The real sensors that were needed were $20,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nowadays, your
Buy it
phone
on Amazon.
has got
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, in terms of the wave, and there are probably guys that have really nailed it and worked it
there
out
definitely
like this.
are.
Maybe in low mode, hanging upside down, maybe it's
No
better. I
question.
don't know.
Yeah.
And of course now I think the arrival of the Volt is significant. And it's significant because I think there's people that have DPs and directors have a real acute fixation with symmetry and it, for some reason, it didn't seem to worry us.
Nope.
And we seem to tell the story,
Yep.
and now like this, and now I have to land on a particular symmetrical thing
Yep.
with a guy that's going to be standing still, and half of the page will be this guy talking,
Yeah.
so the Volt has come along at the right time for us to help us with that
Be
stuff.
able to nail that.
You
But
know?
you think that you think that it's better to learn with it or than learn without it?
I think that there's a couple of things. I think that the fact that we baked ourselves in, we're going to always be ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody that starts with a Volt or spends a year without it and goes, oh, I got to get the Volt.
Yep.
They'll never quite meet our.
It's a little bit of a handicap.
It's a little bit of a handicap.
Yeah.
I really think that we're lucky in that fashion, like that. I think it really helps. We can do a whole lot of other cool stuff and actually, if you go back to the Steadicam right when it started, I think Garrett would agree that there was a fault, in the Steadicam is with a certain amount of drop time. You then have to manage that all the
Overcome
way
that
through.
inertia. Yeah.
That's a whole lot of stuff that you've got to deal with. Now, I must say, with the Volt, I find myself very comfortable when it's off and it's dead neutral.
Interesting. Yeah.
And as a dead...
So you've adjusted to it.
Yeah.
It's changed the way that you operate on some level.
And there's some things, and I actually... Garrett and I were talking about it, and I said to him, like, sometimes when I'm in a shot that is just overly complicated, it could be coming over his shoulder, then wrapping it down, and whatever like this. I don't want to have the Volt helping me or not like this. I just switch it off.
Yeah, because you lose some of that feedback,
Yeah,
right?
the
There's
feedback.
something weird there.
I want the real feedback,
yeah,
not something that's diving in there.
Yeah.
So sometimes in those situations, I'm more than happy to just go
Turn it
neutral.
off. Interesting.
And that's maybe we should have been doing that for the last 20 years.
It's
I don't
possible.
know.
Who knows? I mean, I'm perfectly willing to accept that we've been operating wrong all this time. I have no problem with that. So then I go, oh, that explains all the crappy work I was
teaching people the wrong way to do it.
That's exactly right. That's
They
exactly
want their money
right.
back.
What do you think the difference is between a good operator and a great operator? I'm not talking about Steadicam. I'm just talking about operating. You think there are like specifics?
I think there's so many levels. There's sometimes the hardest shot is not necessarily the physical shot. It's the conflicts between the DP and the director.
That's my next question.
You've got to untangle that.
Does that
first.
happen? Really? So it's the politics. There's
a subtle politics. People are passionate about something, and a DP that walks up to you and says, "No, don't do that. Do this instead," and you know that you're going to go through the whole shot, knowing that the director's going to levitate out of his seat. So that's not what I wanted.
What do you do? What do you do when that happens?
I must say that in those situations, I make sure I have both the DP and the director in earshot.
Yep.
And I put myself there and I say, so, John, you want us to go really fast in this moment. And the DP really wants us to go slow. And I put that out there. And he says, yes, I want to go fast. And then I let it sort of.
You let that figure itself out.
Let it. They have to be together.
I'm kind of the same way. And usually, actually, I'll go to the dolly grip and I go, "Come here and listen to this," because I want some sort of, for the lawsuit, I want some sort of third party listening to the whole thing. Yeah. But the politics gets weird, right? I mean,
and it can get with actors as well. Colin Anderson was telling me about a certain high rolling actor that started screaming. He started screaming at him because Colin was doing what the director asked him to do. But and the actor didn't like the way that he was pushing in or whatever like this. But that was what the director and Colin has a very acute way of dealing with that stuff. So, basically you just got to, you can't keep it to yourself.
You got to let it go.
You have to, it's got to be a conversation, and it should be a conversation with the two of them.
Yeah. And what about working with actors? Do you have tips of like when you're working with method actors specifically, like how to deal with that?
Yes, the method actor. I think that there are, the great actors, the good actors are going to almost do everything extra perfectly each take. That's what they're. That's
their thing. Yeah, that's why they're good. Yeah.
If they're kind of like Mr. Throwing, getting it a little out of hand, you just want to stay a little wider and let them do their thing. I guess. Yeah. All right. They have to play the game as well.
Yeah.
It can't be. If it's bullshit, then it's not going to be on the screen. So
and that's the thing. I think that it comes down to the politics of it. It comes down to like reading the room and using that psychology and all that stuff that you learn over time, right?
Yes, and I think, but I have to say, in terms of actors, I got to say by and large, they're intelligent, and they're very protective of their craft.
Yep. And
I like to think that I'm helping them and making sure that they're in a comfortable place.
Yeah.
That there's even, I'm very careful about I'm not going to like in their eye line as they're like going through their motions before they do their thing. I don't want to like kind of like tip them. I don't want to disrupt them at all, and generally I whenever I've asked an actor to do something and why, they're more than happy to do it.
But the second part is actually a big part of it, right? It's not, hey, can you step to the side here? It's, hey, I'm having trouble seeing that, which connects you to this and is part of the story. Could you help me with that, right?
One has to you have to remind yourself when you look at them, you're looking at this beautiful picture.
Yeah.
When you come around and look over their shoulder, it's horrible. There's horrible lights and flags and somebody's walking backwards and forwards like 50 yards away.
Meaning that's what they're seeing. And they're not seeing the beautiful picture that you're seeing.
They're taking their story and they're like this. I'm looking at it, I'm going, this is great. They're good like this. They're not looking at anything nice.
I never thought about it like that.
They're looking at
hardware.
They're looking at the hardware. They're looking at a thing like this.
Yeah.
And they're reminding themselves of that character without any stimulation that is really kind of like being fed to them.
Yeah.
They're living in a slum, and we're looking at cool stuff.
I've honestly never thought of that before. Is that I'm looking at the garden and everything that's going on back there with this
Yeah.
amazing actor in there, and they're looking at a piece of equipment and the craft service and, and whatever.
And a guy with a boom. I mean, like,
and a guy with a boom, and my dolly grip behind me ready to go, turning his sides to get the thing.
Yeah.
I've never actually considered that before. That's fascinating.
They're living in a different world.
Yeah,
you know? Their world sucks, and ours is great.
Yeah. And it's but the beginning part of it I've always agreed with is like I always say, like I feel part of my job is to make sure that they have a safe space in which to do whatever they're going to do, and that they feel comfortable within that. So whatever I can do. But that's an amazing. I really like that.
Well, also the other thing is that acting is more about creating a space. Perspective and everything like this. It's very important that they reach out and put their hand on something, because that over there is triggering a whole lot of dialogue, and that over there goes together with the dialogue.
Yep.
If they take a move to the left, or they walk through the door and turn on that door like this, they basically, that over there is triggering a whole lot of lines and things that they've crafted themselves, and they want everything to be in place. They don't want things to be just arbitrary, and there's I took that for granted, I must say, for many years. There was a different version of it like this. But
I'll move things and do what I have to do, and they'll adjust, and so what?
Yes.
Yeah.
And to the thing, it's not like just saying to them, can you go to the left a little bit? Say, if you say like, I know you're going to pick up that cup of tea. If you reach for it, it'll have these positive things.
Yeah.
And they go, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up that cup
Because
of tea.
I want this to be better. Yeah.
But because I have to reach for it, that means it tells us something a little bit more.
Yep.
He can't tell because he's not seen it.
He's not seeing it. Yeah.
He's not seen it.
Yeah.
So, I got a great little thing with, Aaron Paul, he's golden. He's
What'd you work with him on?
on Westworld.
Westworld. Okay.
Yeah. And he and I, because we did a lot of these close focus, 40 millimeter,
Jeez.
anamorphic, with no focus.
I was going to say, like, don't worry if your nose touches the lens. That's okay.
And we would do a lot of those, and because just walking, he puts so much into it,
Oh, wow.
And he's so intense. And I would find early on, I'd find that as I go, there's still his lurch to the catch, like this. So the first little piece here is Joe, or whichever the focus pull is, to catch him, and then
before you get into cadence with each other, essentially.
I think, we're missing those two steps that actually are important, like this. And I had him. And I call it the Aaron Paul lurch, is basically I said to him, instead of taking a step, will you take a step backwards first? And this is something that helps a lot. It's take a step backward, bring your weight back, and I just follow him, and that allows me to stay at exactly the distance that he. From when
so it's almost like a wind up. It's not even probably a step backwards.
Yeah,
it's just a lean of your weight back before you go.
He brings his weight back that has me pushing forward and then back, and you can dial it in beautifully.
Well, especially only if he's consistent. But if he's the type of person who's consistent with that,
and you're basically 90% of the way to just nailing the focus right away.
But how did you explain that to him? So that
I said, how about we do this? And he was like, and he didn't look at me like I'm crazy like this. He was like, oh, that's really cool, because he can feel. And the other thing is that when I'm trying to find that distance, he can feel me trying to find that distance.
You're changing as you're going.
And you could see in his eyes going, am I going too fast, too slow, like this?
Yep.
And instead, with that boom, boom, and we're on our way. You know?
Yeah.
And something like that.
But that's a great instance of him understanding that. Look, it's you don't want it to be all about the technical, but the technical is important when you're either going to get it or you're not. So we're all playing the same game at the end of the day.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then when and then we have looked at it afterwards, and he's come and looked at it, and of course it's fantastic. You know, it's.
Because you don't feel what he's actually doing because you're staying with him, so it feels like.
And exactly for that moment there, we lose that, because he's not stepping foot backward.
Yeah.
But then he comes back with all that energy right away instead of kind of like trying to find it for the first 10 feet or whatever it is, something like that.
Wow. Well, Chris, we could probably go on for another 6 hours, but everybody, and we'll probably have to pee for a third time.
Can I take these handcuffs off?
No, the handcuffs stay on.
The handcuffs stay.
This has really been fantastic. We don't sit down and talk like this that often, so this has been great. So I thank you. I'm going to leave you with the question that I leave everybody, which is someone new getting into the industry, operator moving up, even you talking to yourself when you were first starting out. What advice would you give someone on how to succeed in this business?
By and large, the people we work with are good people, kind people, and I think that's our asset. Is you must be as kind and helpful and attentive. Anybody that's not attentive will eventually it'll catch up with them, But I think just being kind, and we work with amazing people. We're not working with a whole lot of accountants, and they're very diverse. And I think you really got to look at that as being an asset, and just always be kind and helpful, and And I think you never know, because really from one business, one thing to the other, and also understand how people around you, like a dolly grip, like this, how good they are at what they do. And just because you're out there and you're like the king for a moment, you're not really. You're being held up by a lot of good people that are making you look good, So I'd say that's it. Just be human,
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.